Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Business of Property. I'm your host, Cheryl Leong from Property Development Australia. How are we all doing? We are live in YouTube, Facebook, and I believe on LinkedIn as well. Anyone that's here, thank you for joining us. Comment below. Today we've got a really exciting topic and with an exceptional guest, Steve Brennan, who has been in the development space for a long time, and he is, I'd like to say, the king of property development site hunting in Queensland. We're going to be talking about hunting down development sites, which is, in Property Development Australia, the community is obviously something that we're all very keen to find out what the tips and tricks are. So I'm going to welcome to the Business of Property, Steve Brennan. Come on down.
Hi, Cheryl.
G'day, Steve. How
Yeah,
you doing?
very well. Thanks for having me.
No, great to have you. Steve, tell us a little bit about your background in the property space and how you ended up starting Brencorp.
Well, I was probably started out in property development in the late 90s, working for other people. So fresh out of uni, was lucky enough to jag a job with another property developer. So I did my apprenticeship there with them, sort of worked for two private property developers for about 15 years. And then after that, really always wanted to do something for myself, and then moved out into Brencorp, and started to do the bit I like, which is the upfront part, which is the site acquisitions and the hunting, if you like. That's the bit that sort of gets me out of bed each morning. So then I concentrated on becoming a buyer's agent and really working towards making that a full-time business.
Fantastic. Tell us a bit about what's been happening in the Queensland market and what you've seen in the Queensland market over the past, I guess, 2 years, particularly with COVID.
Yeah, sure. I mean, COVID's, I guess, thrown the cat amongst the pigeons with a number of people, but the property market up here is certainly booming. There's not much supply still across all sectors. So anything going on the market's sort of hotly contested, and development sites are the same. I'm finding the gap between vendors' expectations and what developers are prepared to pay. There's a bit of a gap at the moment. Certainly in the last couple of months, vendors are probably difficult would be nice, or challenging would be a nice way to describe them. And that's just because of the hype in the market. There is, if they do, I obviously try to buy development sites off market. Mostly, if they're talking to agents, the agents are getting to put them online and get it going to auction, which makes it very competitive. But we're still in there, I guess, grinding away each day to try and get a deal done. So certainly getting vendors talking to us, and still there's opportunities out there. They're just harder to convert at the moment, I'm finding. But yeah, certainly COVID, it's been up and down for the last 2 years. But yeah, the market's pretty hot up here. So the end product, getting the selling product, sale of land is, you can't find land to sell. So to buy, sorry. So developers are, if they can get anything to the market, they're selling quite well and at good prices.
Yeah, I mean, there's been exceptional capital growth over the past year, in particular, with the announcement of the Olympics. I mean, do you see this slowing down at any point, or are we going to be seeing some ridiculous growth over the next 5 to 10 years? What are you forecasting?
And I think the growth's going to continue. You've got the Olympics. We've got the casinos getting built. We've got cross river rails being built at the moment. So these are all very large, billions of dollars infrastructure projects, which are just adding to all that capital growth, adding to facilities everywhere. And the Olympics sort of coming at the end of that, I think is going to top it all off. So if the supply, the issue at the moment, I think supply is low, but even I think that there's a fair bit of pent up demand there. So anything that comes on the market's been sort of snapped up. So I think as we go, a lot of the existing stocks getting snapped up already. So I can see it sort of going for another couple of years at least. And then, there'll be more infrastructure projects announced as the Olympics get closer, and it's all just, adding to that, to the property boom that's going on up here. So I can't see an end in sight at the moment. Certainly there's issues around supply of building products. I guess that's the only thing that might slow things down, is the cost of that is increasing every week, every month at the moment, talking to builders. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on. And again, that's a supply issue. We can't get the materials, timber and steel in particular, into Australia, or we can, but at higher prices. So that may affect construction, which, but if values continue to rise, then it's covering that increase.
Yeah, and I know I read an article over the weekend talking about this sort of the concern and the issue around rising materials prices, and that's all across Australia, and how that's going to be impacting builders. And I think so. One of the things we might even talk about it's going, if you are looking to build with someone, the things to sort
Yep.
of look out for as well, because I'm sure people who are developing, that's all right. They might be able to develop and provide the land. It's in on the other side, the buyer's side, to sort of look at, okay, if you've got into fixed price contract and things like that, to how to protect themselves as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, today I'm really excited because I know that everyone wants to know how to find those unicorns, the off market sites. But we're going to
Yep.
share a little bit from your experience, both on market and off market tips and
Yep.
pro tips and tools that you use as a professional buyer's agent for development sites
Yes.
that everyone in the community can use today and start to implement. So I think there's going to be a heap amount of value. So whoever is here, please feel free to pop. We'll stay to the very end because we've got a bit of a giveaway as well, don't we, Steve?
Yes. Yeah. Indeed.
Along
No,
the
you
way,
just.
we'll figure out what they give away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do.
Excellent, excellent. Alrighty, so let's jump into it. How do we hunt down some development sites?
Yeah, sure. That's come up on the screen now. My mouse. Yeah, so I guess, a little bit about me. What you alluded to at the start. I mean, Brencorp's, a licensed buyer's agent, and we exclusively source development sites for property developers, primarily in southeast Queensland, which is all the councils from, Gold Coast to Sunshine Coast and out west to Ipswich and 𝗬𝗲𝗏. So there's sort of, I guess, five main methods that I use that I find, which I'll talk about each of these individually, but certainly deals online. So that's your realestate.coms and your domains online. Direct mail, I think, is still very powerful at the moment. Real estate agents is another one, which I'll get into more detail about, but certainly they're a necessary evil, sometimes a bit of a love-hate relationship with agents, but they've certainly got their finger on the pulse in the good ones in their suburbs. Social media, and then when I mean social media, it's more around social media networking as well. So it's being involved in groups like yours. There's certainly groups for just development sites, but also LinkedIn and engaging with property professionals, so real estate agents, town planners, builders in the industry. So growing your network in and around, people that are in the same industry as you. And fifthly is also mindset and routine, which is part of obviously combining all of that to how do you get it to work. And I guess my approach is a little bit different in I like the automation of it as well. So how do you do this at scale when you've got multiple? I'm looking for multiple sites at the time. So how do you do it at scale every day as well? So that's
Yeah,
part
I
of it.
think that's a
So
really, really good point
yeah,
around putting a system and automation in place, whether that's automating technology or automating through the help of other people
yeah,
as well.
correct. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I do both. Yeah, there's
yeah,
software and that can help, and also people that help. So I do both. So
amazing, awesome.
I'll sort of get to the first one. So deals online. So I guess it sounds a bit obvious, but certainly, the normal searches you can do on realestate.com and also domain. I prefer realestate.com. I think it does get more listings, but that might be a Queensland thing as well. I know some of the southern states get more traction from domain, but it's free to join. You can set up a profile. What I love doing, you can set up a profile and then set up saved searches. So you can do the traditional filters of setting up by property size or by the suburb, those type of things. So I'm obviously looking for development sites. So if you just did a property search for like 810 square metres in certain suburbs, you'll get a lot of properties, and most of them won't be development sites. Some will, but some won't. So what I like to do is filter by keywords, which is something you can do in realestate.com. So I've given a couple of examples there. So splitter is a word that real estate agents use a lot. STCA, so subject to council approval. agents use a lot, and detonate's another one they use. So they actually use renovate or detonate as their catchphrase.
Yep.
So what you're trying to think of is words the real estate agents commonly use when they're online and when they're doing their copyright for their ads. And then this is a way of filtering those sites to come up. So they're not always going to be 100% development sites, but what it does is give you a good list of development sites that are online very quickly and on a daily basis as well. So those lists change every day.
So are you talking about individual search filters? So I'm thinking that you've got one filter for splitter, one filter for subject to council approval. Okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I've probably got, and then I do my quite a wide broad search, but I'll have in Brisbane City Council, the Greater Brisbane area, then I'll have the Greater Gold Coast area. So I've actually got multiple searches. So, but within each council area, I've probably got about 8 to 10 saved searches that every day get checked to see what new properties have been added. And then we contact those agents and find out, more about the property, again, getting your name out there, telling them what you're after. And the other, and the good thing with the online search engines is you can have the mobile app on your phone, so you can be anywhere. Because when you sign in, you can then sign in on your app and it brings up all your saved searches. You just click through your saved searches each day. So you can do it on the run, on the mobile, and then you can just, call agents, email agents, get in front of them, let them know what you're doing. So it's a good source of finding out where development sites are and also where the suburbs are that are getting a lot of the sales for development sites as well. So, and of course, through these search engines, you can narrow down by suburb. So one of the tips, I guess I've got a few little tips there. To automate it, I actually, doing this every day, it becomes, if I've got 8 searches across multiple council areas, actually use one of your virtual assistants, Danica, to help me do that each day. So Danica clicks on each of the searches every day, contacts each of the agents for the new sites that are added, and then makes contact via email with them. And then we actually, use that, which I talk about in item 3, where I add them into my database as well, the real estate agents. But it's just a good way of contacting, letting them know what we're looking for across all my buyers, and then and also asking them what else they've got. So they've got the online stuff, but then we always ask the question, what else do they have? What do they got coming up? Do they have any pocket listings, anything off market as well? So the other just online is, I guess, that for sale by owner. When there's not an agent involved, they're always good ones to target as well, to talk to them directly to find out, what they're looking for, rather than sometimes the agents, they're working for the seller. That's always, remember that. I'm working for the buyer, so I want the best result for my buyers. Whereas when it's for sale by owner, I guess, I can get directly to the owner straight away rather than sort of the gatekeeper of the real estate agent.
Steve, just with the for sale by owner, are they coming up on realestate.com as well?
Yes, the filtered searches that I do, they'll show up. If they don't quite use the same words as, say, a real estate agent does, but a lot of time they get the copyright. It'll talk about a development site or a subdivision or a splitter, and there's some key words there that grab those ads to pop up as well. So there's a little giveaway. So what I've done actually there is there's a link there. I don't know if we're going to talk about that, but I'll PDF this presentation so people can get a copy of the presentation. You can actually click on that link and that'll take you to the realestate.com search that I do for splitter blocks in the Brisbane area. So it sort of shows you straight away what comes up, and then you can just see what's added each day or each week when you get on there and check it out.
I said it's pretty much a daily update.
Correct. Yeah, and it's a good barometer of what's happening on a daily basis for development sites. How many are on there, how many have been added recently, is it quiet at the moment? So it's a good feel for the market, if you like, too. So it's also good market intel, what other property, even if it doesn't suit your, particular requirements, it's giving you good intel on what they're asking for it, where it is, what it can be, how it can be developed as well. So it's sort of, good research and market intel as well at the same time. And they flush out an opportunity too. So because a lot of agents do have other listings that aren't online. That's the bonus of it.
Yeah, and the thing that keeps coming up that you've mentioned is this relationship with agents. And building that relationship with them, because they might have posted something, but they said they might have something that's actually not listed and is off market.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's a good way of just getting a list to make content. And I talk about a bit more of that in number 3 under real estate agents. So I think number 2 is the next one, which is the direct mail. So I guess a lot of people have done direct mail before as well. I mean, there's software out there that can help you with that as well. What I find is it's best to be very specific with your direct mail, not just, I never send a letter to an entire street or an entire suburb, which real estate agents probably do when they do letterbox drops. But, there's software and online sites that can narrow down by zoning, narrow down by size, narrow down by frontage, and then only send those sites that you want to. So then in a street, there might be, some with flooding as well. So you don't want to necessarily send to the ones that have got flood overlays. You just want to target the ones that are good. So I suggest just testing all types of different mail. I've found for me the best way is the professional approach. So I come as a very professional, letterhead, all very well presented. And it's more about also, I guess you want them to open the mail initially, but it's also getting just a conversation started and how you can help them. So that's what you've got to try and convey in your letter. And like I said, test different colours, test handwritten notes, test all those things, all are good. And I get varying results depending on where the market's at. But I've found the best way for me is the professional approach. And then also keeping track of it. So keeping track of who you've sent the letters to, how many letters you've sent. So I think my next slide, I'll talk about that a bit more. It's not just around, one letter. It's as many as 5 or 6 letters before you actually get a response. You will get people. I get people that call me and ask me not to send them any more letters, which is fine, or they'll contact me when they're ready, which is okay too. At least and I'll note that on my thing, on my spreadsheet or actually in my database to say, well, I'll leave them be then. At least you're getting a conversation. So they've opened it, they're looking at it. So I guess I'll just get to the next screen.
And with your direct mail, Steve, I mean, at the moment, obviously, it's a very, very, very competitive market.
It is.
I mean, in a normal market, typically, what sort of response rate would you expect from letters?
It is low. I'm probably sitting at about 3 to 4% still. So out of 100, we get 3 or 4 people contact you. But it comes down to numbers. You've just got to get the volume of letters out, and the following up as is key. You've got to be not embarrassed to send 5 or 6 letters until they actually tell you to stop sending letters. That's and a lot of the time it's timing. So probably on their first letter, they're not thinking of selling. By the second or third letter, maybe they are thinking of selling. So I've got a current block that I've been sent a letter to, been talking to the owners probably for over 6 months now, but they're not ready to sell. So I just keep in touch with them now. They're on my system of nurturing. We touch base once a month. They let me know where they're up to, what they're doing, and ultimately they've said they will give me the site to find a buyer, but you just got to be patient and continue to work with them.
Yeah, we've got a few people making some comments there. It's a numbers game, absolutely. Persistency is one of the keys, and you're right with the numbers game, because I've come across a few people that have said, I've sent out 100 letters, I haven't had any responses.
Yes.
I go, well, try 1,000.
Yes,
Try
correct.
2,000. Try 5.
Yeah.
It is a number, and if you work off a percentage of 3 to 4%, and you've sent out 5,000 letters, say for example,
Yes.
just do the
Correct.
numbers around that.
Yeah, that's right. And I think and it varies. So I've sent out in a batch 150 letters and didn't get one response, where I've sent out 15 letters in a batch and got 7 responses. So it really does go up and down, and you've just got to keep at it. Do the next 15, because that might be the 15 that get you 7 responses. The first 150 don't work, but the next 15 get you 7. So that's why you've got to keep going.
And you also mentioned sending them numerous letters as well.
Yes.
So the same owners, well, not necessarily the same letter, but be able to send them another letter.
Correct. Follow them up, and then just have a little point of difference, or try to start a conversation, or and like I said, people will tell you if they don't want, or they're not interested in selling at all ever. They'll tell you, or take them off their list. You'll find, yes, it is competitive. So there is, you talk to people and say, this is the 100th letter I've received from developers, but again, you've just got to start a conversation. At least they've rung you, so you've started a conversation. So then you can, build on that rapport and stay in touch with them and call them back, send them an email if you get their email address, if they're happy to share that. And then so just build that relationship with them over time until they're ready. Yeah, so timing's everything, but you've got to keep restarting the clock every time you send a letter. So
Yeah, yeah, and I remember sending a letter out, and I think it was about 5 years after the owners reached out and
yes, yeah,
said,
and I've
like,
had, yeah, it's interesting. I've had letters, 12 months. So even emails I send to real estate agents, it's 12 months later and I get a response. That's happened
mm,
multiple times. So people do keep
yeah,
them, they file them away, they tag them in their inbox, and then when they're
mm,
ready, they come back to you. So it's not necessarily wasted.
yes,
It just takes
ab-
time.
absolutely, because not everyone's wanting to sell at the same time,
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice?
unless you're in
Uh,
Brisbane, then everyone does.
yeah, so I guess, just some of my automation tip. I've started using Stash to track and send to direct mail. So that allows me to keep a good database of everyone I've contacted as well as the
Mm,
multiple letters as it goes along. And they've also got an in-house printing capability. So I used to print all the envelopes out at home, um, handwrite the envelopes, send them out myself. But I found this is, I'm still getting the same amount of response using a
mm,
more automated process. And so, that definitely helps. And I've also got my 𝗏𝗃𝗃, my virtual assistant, does a lot of the property research now for me, stashes all the properties that, I've set the criteria for, and then I just once a week review them, and we do a mail out every week. So we're now consistently mailing out every week, and then we follow up, every week as well. So at the right time.
yeah.
Um,
I've got a question here. Many developers don't like Stash and prefer Land Checker. What are your views on that? I'm interested to hear. Sorry, I can't tell who's commented there, but have they said why they don't like Stash and prefer Land Checker? Because I know they're different tools, and everyone, they all do sort of similar things, but
different
yet
things.
they're
Yeah,
they're, they're different as well.
yeah.
Um,
I've looked at Land Checker. I don't think Land Checker has the mailing capabilities that Stash
no.
does. I think Land Checker might be better
Mm,
at finding the site that you want or that you're targeting to narrow down, which is my approach there, aim small, miss small, to really target down to a property. Whereas the Stash allows you to, it's almost like a database of properties you've contacted and lets you do the automatic mailing. So I think
yeah.
it's probably two separate software. And I don't think Land Checker's, it's only just beta testing or just come out in Queensland. So
I'm
um,
not sure if Land Checker has a capability to actually export data into lists
yeah,
as
I'm not sure
well.
on that one.
Yeah,
Mm.
not updated frequently enough. Is that for Stash? That will be interesting.
Right, I
Uh,
see. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, and you've got to
Um,
be careful. Yeah, I mean the data contained in these software, same as Price Finder, Stash. It's only as good as whoever inputted it. So you do have to do your
yeah,
checks and balances.
yeah. I've got another comment here. In business, 80% of sales happen on or after the fifth point of contact. There you go. Yet
Yeah, yeah,
only
yeah.
8% of businesses actually get there. The same methodology applies in property deal finding. Absolutely.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, so if
And
you're
so
the
we do that, and I really like that you've mentioned that as well. That it's about send a few letters
yes,
to the same property.
yeah, correct. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like I said, yeah, that was the pro tip there. I guess aim small, miss small, but and then I've actually put in there if you download the PDF, my exact letter that I send out to one of
Mm,
my letters. I've got a couple, but that's one of my direct mail letters there that I send out to client or to potential development site owners.
yeah. So
So you
stay
can grab that
stay to
Brennan.
the very end
So,
if you want to get a copy of that letter, because I know that's one of the questions we get asked all the time. Do you have a template letter that I can use?
yes, yeah, for sure. So happy to share that. Yeah, so real estate agents, I guess, yeah, like I said, they're a necessary evil. But I mean, what I find with real estate agents, I tend to go very wide with real estate agents and contact a lot. So I think I've got 4,500 now in my database. And you'll find agents move around a lot as well. The good ones will bubble to the surface. So it's just, again, about being consistent, getting the agents that are
Mm,
selling development sites. A lot of agents never sell a development site in their entire career, but some are in certain areas, if that's your target areas where there are development sites. So it's worth building relationships with them and staying in contact with them regularly. So I guess my advice on agents is to think about they're very busy as well. So I find different agents respond to different forms of communication. It's finding, some respond to emails, some prefer to text, some prefer phone calls. So it's really finding out what they like and then using that to stay in touch with them. they can be slow coming back, but again, it's like we talked about, the fifth or sixth call. If you don't hear in the first couple, keep trying. I generally, when I'm chasing an agent, I'll do all three. I'll call, text, and email all at the same time, and then that's the follow-up: call, text, email, call, text, email. Keep doing that to get in touch with them, and then find out what they're doing as well. So find out what they've got a lot of market intel. They're at the coalface every day talking to vendors. So they're a great source of information. You just got to get them at the right time that suits them. Obviously a Saturday morning is not the best time when they're doing all their open homes and running around. But if you can get the timing right, start finding out, making their lives easier, I suppose. Tell them what you're looking for, your budget, what areas, what type of property. But yeah, you want to be top of mind for the right reasons. You don't want to be annoying, I guess, is my point. But I also find they want to put you on their mailing list, which I don't mind. You can easily unsubscribe nowadays. So I always ask just to be put on the developer builder mailing list rather than the generic one. So you're getting more development style sites coming through, and off market sites too. So I've got a lot of agents that do that, and their assistant just mails it out each day or each week, and you check them out. So
yeah. And how often are you reaching out to these agents? Like, is this a weekly thing, monthly thing, or?
Initially, it's sort of, I guess, over the first week, getting them, trying to get in contact, trying to get that, and then slowly moving into pretty well a monthly. Once I've sort of made contact, introduced ourselves, so they know what we're looking for. Generally there's a bit of back and forth about, budgets and types of property and those types of things. And then it's into a monthly, because I guess acting as a buyer's agent as well, I'm giving them my buyer requirements all the time as well. So just reminding them, we've got someone looking for this type of property, townhouse site in these suburbs. And then, then they remember you. Like I said, they remember it 12 months later. Are you still looking for development sites? They'll give me a call. Yes, always looking. So, send it through.
I've got some comments here. I had a lady recently said she would rather burn down in her house than sell to a developer. Wow, that's some pretty passionate words there. That was an interesting conversation. That's interesting that she made time to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
as well. So I find
it's an interesting industry we work in.
Yeah, absolutely. And for developers in Victoria, it seems best to send letters to vendors rather than agents, because off markets are also sent to buyers, and it makes BAs look stupid when they go to clients saying, "I found an off market opportunity," and they've already seen it. Yeah, and I think that's really, and we've brought this up before. There's off market, true off market, and then pre market.
Yes.
As well, which does go to the agent, but the agent's sort of going, let me just have a look to see who in my database.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, they're 200 closest friends. Get it?
Yeah, absolutely. And off market, I always look at off market as dealing directly with the owner.
Yes, yeah. And that's where direct mail definitely gets you that. Your preference is, certainly once a lead comes in, if you're dealing direct with the owner, that's definitely the preference.
And what are the key benefits, Steve?
For
dealing directly with the owner? No, the owner.
With the owner. Well, I guess you're getting it at the coalface here. You're getting their real reactions to, is it the price that's important? Is it the terms that are important? Is it certainly a lot of bigger sites in Brisbane are old Queenslanders on large blocks of land, so they're elderly people. They're in their 80s or 90s, down to the point where they don't have the technology. They don't have emails and text messages, or they haven't moved for 40 years. So really, when you're talking, the biggest benefit when you're talking to a vendor is you're finding out what their pain points are. So you can either solve them, or maybe you can't, but ideally you can solve them. So it is, I don't know any movers. Well, I'll get you a list of 3 movers, or I'll pay for your moving. Or it might be, I need to look at some retirement villages and, helping them with that, if you can introduce someone that's, in that space. So they'll put up a lot of barriers or, brick walls to say why they can't sell. And if you can slowly chip away at those to solve their problems. And sometimes it's just money, or it's just timing, which is nice and simple to solve. You can solve those, or maybe you can't, but if it's too much money, you can't solve it. Or you can over time. So you might be able to get that price, but here's how a structure would work.
Yes.
And then you're automatically getting their feedback on that.
Yeah.
to see whether they like the idea of a deferred settlement or waiting for DA to be approved.
And I think the point that you make about being able to see what they're open to, the terms, and the point here is about what are their needs. All right,
Yes.
how can we cater to their needs but still craft a win-win situation
Yes, that's right.
solution.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to buy it unless they're getting what they want, I suppose. So
Mm,
it's sort of
mm,
some things you can't budge on, and there's certain development
yeah,
stuff that we have to do and have to have. But there are others that we can be flexible and come up with some. Yeah, you've got to come up with some. What's your point of difference? You've got to come up with some creative solutions to solve
yeah.
their problems.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Someone said build a know, like, and trust relationship with agents, and it's the same with vendors. Absolutely. This is
mm,
how you create sales attraction, and it is. It's so much about relationships because it. Yes, often it is about the price, and everyone wants the top price.
yes,
But at the end of the day, if you are able to provide a solution to them and they see value in that solution, it doesn't necessarily always have to be about the highest price or about the
yeah,
price.
correct. Yeah, that's right. The price. Yeah, there might be other things that are more important
Mm,
in their world.
yeah.
I'm just going to go to the next. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, my automation, that's how I use Entreport, which is just a CRM, but you can use a spreadsheet. I started off with a spreadsheet, and then which keeps track of who you've contacted, when you last
Mm,
spoke to them, when you last sent them an email, when you last sent them a text message, those sort of things. So you can keep on top of your relationship, if you like. So you've got to work at it. But I suppose my pro tip with agents is to be relentless. Don't get discouraged. It's being that consistency and persistency, I suppose. It keeps coming up, recurring theme, but keep talking to them, keep trying. Eventually you break through, or eventually they come to
mm,
you with a site. Some people, agents you haven't spoken to for a couple of months, and all of a sudden they reappear, they bubble back to the surface with a site. So they can only sell you something they've got listed, of course. So
mm.
once they get a listing, you've got to want to be top of mind for them to give you a call. So
Yeah. The key thing here is top of mind.
yeah, that's it. Um, Fourth one, yeah. So I guess I call it social media networking. Went too far. And plenty of people are on social media, and they're on Facebook and they're on LinkedIn. But I suppose it's about really immersing yourself in like-minded people in property
Mm,
development. I know some people are looking for multiple sites all the time, so I guess I'm doing it a lot more than someone that's just looking for one site. But it all helps if people see you in the property groups, see you on LinkedIn, see you commenting, see you connecting. Probably my biggest deal I've ever done came through a Facebook message. Earlier it was actually last year, but it settled this year, the property for a 32 lot subdivision. So that was via literally a Facebook message. So no
mm,
direct mail, no real estate agent. Just had to be in the right place at the right time. So it's worth doing, and I guess you're the network you surround yourself with only makes you stronger. Or when you need to solve some of your vendors' problems, or they do end up having a development site. So not just real estate agents, but town planners, builders, engineers, anyone associated with property is generally working in property. They're interested in property. They like talking about property.
mm,
To connect with them and really immerse yourself in them. So it definitely works, and definitely. Obviously, I think it's on my next slide, but certainly real estate agents, we were just talking about them, but certainly on LinkedIn, I find them more receptive to connect and also to message via LinkedIn as well. So
yeah.
they obviously use that to promote themselves. So when they're getting contact and interest through that, that adds a big thing. So like I said, I've definitely got multiple sites through either Facebook groups, through LinkedIn, through messages received through all the platforms as well. So and it can all be done on your phone, so it is something you can do on the go and while you're out and about. So
Hmm. Hmm.
and I suppose that's what my automation. Obviously Danica helps me do a lot of my posts across social media. I do all the communicating with the people once they send messages. That's what I've definitely noticed. LinkedIn is more for real estate agents, and it's easy to find real estate agents in Brisbane as
Mm,
well, for
mm.
example, or wherever you're living. That they're pretty well all on there. They've all got a profile, and you can make contact, and you can send a message pretty easily too as well. So,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of Facebook groups, which I think probably the people in your group know about. The first one, that's your sister site. But yeah, there's other sites out there, but those 3 sites I've actually set up, on my phone, so I get notification for every time anything new happens in those sites. Just again, immersing yourself in what's going on in those. And there's thousands of people in all those sites now that are putting up sites or requirements or asking questions. So definitely, yeah, there's face-to-face networking, which is a big one as well. But I just find social media over the last 2 years, people can't get out and about as much, is just as popular.
Yeah,
Or
and
just as
you're
beneficial as well.
absolutely, and you're managing to reach a lot more people with whatever your message is, or people just seeing you. The more
Yeah.
that you are, and networking is extremely powerful. It goes back to that whole know, like, and trust side of things. Because if people see you as someone who's developing in Brisbane,
Yes.
or wherever you are, Melbourne, wherever, and you become known as the that developer that does things in Adelaide. I've seen him or her post things up. Like, just, it is something for a lot of people if they're not used to using social media. It definitely is a tool that's very cost effective. It really only takes your time. But if you're short on time, look at ways that you can automate, which Steve has provided some really great sort of automation tips here.
Yeah, correct. And I guess that's the processes you can put in place to, like we said, it's a numbers game. So how do you increase the numbers without having to spend 8 hours a day doing it? So if there's ways of doing it or getting to more people faster, then you should be looking into it and adopting it into your daily life.
Absolutely.
So number 5, I think,
I like
is
this one.
almost the most important one, I think. And a lot of people talk about mindset and being a routine. I guess that's an automation for me. So, I'll just put down my little tips, I suppose, there about, taking action every day. Like I said, even if it's just contacting one agent per day, you do that, that's 7 a week, 28 a month. All of a sudden, you're starting to build a very good network of real estate agents within a month. So, and I think we've touched on it too. Yeah, being consistent, doing the same things each day, each week, and each month, over and over. I know I guess some people like to think there's a magic pill out there for finding development sites, but it really is the mindset and your routine and automating your routine as best you can with the numbers. We've talked about being persistent, follow up. So it probably needs 3 more. It's almost the 5 or 6 follow-ups to get the answer you want.
Lots of FUs, right?
Yeah, lots of FUs, correct. As many as you can get in a day. And a big one for me, I suppose, which I at the start was a little bit frustrated. It is being patient. It is trusting the process, and knowing it's going to take time, knowing, yes, I sent 100 letters and didn't get a response, but knowing that in 12 months I might get, 7 responses from those people that in 12 months time. So it's just trusting the process, being patient, trusting that it's going to work, which it does. And then a little shout out to, I guess, Tony Meredith Coaching, who helps me get started when I certainly started out in buyers, as you said, in my goals and getting the routine and knowing how to be disciplined in yourself to make you take action every day and work towards your goals. So
It helps keep you accountable.
It does, yeah, correct. Oh, he does, absolutely. So yeah, so that's a little photo there. So going from can't to can, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I love these tips, particularly these last ones, because it can be it can be demoralizing when you are constantly looking at sites and you're negotiating and you're putting offers, but you've just got to go,
Yes.
3 feet from gold, 3 feet from gold. It's the next one. It's the next one, and missing sites isn't necessarily a bad thing. You sort of go, the next one's going to be even bigger and better, and having that mindset of abundance.
Yes, that's
Like,
right.
to
Yeah.
just like trust, trust the process, but trust like the right product, the right site, and the right deal is going to come to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about taking action.
Sorry?
About taking action.
Taking action, that's it. Yeah, so I think that's all from me. That was just some of my contact details there. But
great stuff. Fantastic. I love
yeah,
those.
and it's just a high level sort of overview. I guess the devil's in the detail, and but yeah, you've got to start and do a little bit of each one. So I try and do a little bit of each one each day, whether it be direct mail, ringing a real estate agent, looking online. It happens every day and then every week, and all of a sudden you start to get a flow of sites. But yeah, it's not easy. It is challenging, but you've just got to stick to it.
Yeah. So if you're out there looking for development sites and you're finding, I'm not finding anything on realestate.com, I'm not finding anything on domain.com.au, have a think. Steve's given you 4 other avenues. Is that 4 others? Well, either way, we've got
For our plus mindset, you need to have the mindset on
yeah,
all of them. But
mindset. You
yes.
need to have the mindset. I think that's the top one. But 3 or
Yeah.
4 other avenues to be able to look for development sites. So can you imagine? You've got now 4 other channels. It's at the end of the day, it's a filter. If it's a numbers
Yeah.
game, you've got to be able to spread, open up that filter and funnel as wide as possible. So it really helps bring down and filter through more sites because it's about leads. It's similar to marketing.
Yes.
It's about leads,
Yeah.
leads, and then finding the ones that really stick. Last question from the audience: do you do the
Right.
feasibility yourself or use someone else before presenting to clients?
I want to be a little bit careful with feasibilities and making recommendations because I'm a
Mm,
licensed buyer's agent. People might rely on those numbers. So certainly I give assistance in what sold recently, what land's selling for in sale prices. I've got a good feel of what some of the costings are and building costings, but I generally leave that up to my buyers. But like I said, I'll
mm,
provide assistance in doing that. I do quick ones for myself to see where I think it should sit before I start talking to the owners, or when I'm talking to the owners to try and get a price out of them as well. But prices generally are, not it's normally the starting point for most conversations. That's what they are. Well, how much is
mm,
it worth?
mm,
So, I look at, supporting sales, what other developers are going to pay. The interesting thing from my point of view, there's so many different types of developers out there that have different risk profiles and have different long and short-term goals. So some of my development clients are happy to land bank, whereas others need a
mm,
profit within 3 to 4 months. That's a very different feasibility. So there would be too many different types of feasibilities for the different buyers I have at the time for one site, for example. So I generally give them the information, as much information I can give them, and then it's really them seeing if it fits into their strategy. And then we move forward, with an offer tailored around what their strategies and their returns and their risk profiles.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Because it's not a one size fits all. Because you could have a site that might look like it's for residential, and someone decides they're going to put a childcare centre on it.
yes, yeah, that's right. Yes, and property development's about seeing angles that other people don't see. And
Mm,
it might be land banking until the Olympics come in and then sell later or develop later, or townhouses or apartments. They might be looking to buy 2 or 3 blocks side by side. So,
yeah.
and that's why you get, developers get beaten out. You get beaten by other people because they've just got a different strategy for that property,
Mm, mm.
which is okay.
Absolutely. We've got a
Mm.
few more comments here. I work with site acquisition and encounter people like that every day. For some people, there's not enough amount of money that can persuade them to sell. Yeah, and a lot of them have been there for decades.
Yes. Yeah, correct. Yeah, and they're happy to die there as well. Almost they just want to live out their years. I know my grandparents lived at their place till they were 97. I think they
Mm,
refused to leave. So
mm,
yeah, it
mm.
is. Yeah, money's not the answer to everything, but
Yeah.
yeah, some people just they're emotionally attached, and selling a house or selling a property, especially a development site, is probably the biggest financial decision they make in their
Mm,
lives. It's either setting them up for retirement or it's setting up their kids or their estate for retirement. So that's it is a big decision for them, which
mm.
they've got to come to be comfortable with the decision they make.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my favorite one. Steve, this is a good one. Can you please expand in regards to VAs and how they benefit the process?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been using Danica for almost 2 years now. I think 2 years in January. So yeah, it's very much she does the day-to-day stuff for me without being asked effectively. So Danica works very well unsupervised. So she's got a number of daily tasks, weekly tasks and monthly tasks that she does. We're all on, using software to help us. So, we're using Stash, we're using Google Drive. So the exchange of information's very seamless. So I can sit there and just see, the database being updated, or I can see Google Drive getting updated. Like the presentation here, I did the words, I didn't do any of the other, making it look pretty with all the photos and the colors. That's all Danica, so I can pretty well set a task, leave it, and then, this afternoon it comes back. There it is in my inbox, ready to go. So it's things I'm not having to think about every day that just get done. So like the contacting agents, updating the database, sending out direct mail or targeting properties. So all of a sudden I've just got this momentum going every day that I didn't need to create myself. I'm just steering the ship, if you like, and getting the results. So I can then do that at scale then, which is even for an individual developer, the more it's a numbers game. So the more you do, the more opportunities to come through. So I couldn't get to the number of agents or owners or that just by myself. There'd be no way I could do it. So having Danica or the virtual assistant help me do that, definitely frees up hours and hours and hours every day. If you work out that over a year, it's enormous amount of savings. So
absolutely, because she works with you pretty much full time.
Yes, yeah, correct. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't have to give her a job to do every day. She knows what has to happen, every day. And even as inquiries come in or a new off-market property, she's got a whole process that she goes through, doing dial before you digs and town planning reports and contours before I even see it, before I even know we've got an opportunity. It's all presented in the folder, and I get an email saying, "Here, look at the link. Let me know what you think," and the agent's details, and then I just do that bit, the dollar productive tasks rather than the grinding away behind in the back office. So
she makes you look good, Steve.
She does.
I said the presentation.
I couldn't do what she does.
You sent me the presentation. I'm like, wow, that looks really good. And Steve said, Danica did that. It's all right. I came up with the content.
That's right. I did some words. That was about all.
But that's that consistency. We talked a bit about the consistency, being able to work smarter, not necessarily harder.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
And getting the point that you make about being able to scale, but that's using processes, systems, having the right systems and processes in place, having the right people who can use the system so they know what to do, and then your strategy. Like if you combine these three: systems, strategy, and superstars, then you've got a whole scalable business model.
Yeah, correct.
Which is why Steve is the king of development sites in Queensland. So thank you, Steve. Thank you very much for a huge amount of huge value. If anyone wants to get a copy of the slides, comment Hunt, HUNT, below in the comments, and Steve/Danica will reach out to you and send you a copy of the slides, because you can actually click on those links. So if you've been through the whole presentation today, there was some links that you can actually go into and get access to the template letter, those sites that Steve uses, and the filters that Steve uses as well. Again, huge value from some of Hunt. Oh, everyone's hunting. Everyone's on the hunt, Steve. Danica's going to be a busy lady tomorrow.
Busy, that's right. It won't be me. It'll be Danica.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Steve. That was fantastic. You take care of yourself, and we'll see you again very soon. I can see you're going to be very busy, and the next day. I think that was enormous value. Thank you, everyone who's joined us this evening. We'll see you. I hope you're doing well. We'll see you in next week's The Business of Property. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.